LeBron James just dropped a shocking accusation against Boston. They racist as fuck. Now, with his Lakers' future in chaos and trade rumors exploding, the NBA icon faces the biggest question of his career. Is LeBron preparing for a stunning move away from Los Angeles?
I mean, Boston.
Boston, yeah.
Why do you hate Boston?
Because they racist as fuck. That's
they
why.
nasty.
They will say anything, and it's fine. I mean, fuck, it's my life. I mean, it's just, I've been dealing with it my whole life. I don't mind it. Like, I hear it. Like, if I hear somebody like close by, I check them real quick. I move on to the game, whatever the fuck. They're gonna say whatever the fuck they want to say. They might throw something on you. I mean, I got a beer thrown on me leaving the game. You know, like,
Boston is
Boston.
the only place in the NBA in America you go and they have like shirts that say like "fuck LeBron."
Yeah,
like,
it was like
section.
It was like a fuck LBJ t-shirt. I believe they probably sold it at the fucking team shop.
No, they sold it outside the arena.
No, they sold it at the team shop. I'm Celtics had something to do with that shit.
What about the reports of a little bit of friction between him and Tatum? Like the personalities just didn't mesh. By the end, it was just a situation where one of them was going to have to go no matter what. Do you put any stock into those reports?
I mean, based on my conversations with the parties involved, that was not a driving factor. The driving factor was Boston felt like it could spend the money more efficiently. Now, I don't know where Jason and Jalen are, like personally. I mean, I saw some reports that like they were both in Cannes last week and like they were both there and they like didn't even hook up even though this stuff was going on. I don't know. I'm not there. I don't know what was on their schedule. I don't know anything about that. But I do not think that was a driving force for this in the Celtics. I think that they looked at the numbers and said, we can spend our money more efficiently. And you may come back and say, well, Paul George makes the same salary.
Right.
So how can you possibly say that Paul George at the same salary is better off than Jaylen Brown? And I would say, listen, man, I agree. I don't see it either. I'm just telling you the way that I think the Celtics,
When I saw the announcement that the Lakers had acquired Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz and signed him to a 4-year, $130 million deal, I immediately thought, the 3 highest paid players on the Lakers are all white. When is the last time that happened? I also thought, man, $450 million is an awful lot to invest in a superstar that struggles to stay healthy and in shape, Luka Dončić, and a borderline all-star whose ability to get to the free throw line and vulnerability on defense don't translate to the postseason all that well in Austin Reeves, along with a young center who played 5 games last season after undergoing labrum surgery and has never played on a winning NBA team, one Walker Kessler. I also knew that there would be people on social media quick to point out the trio's whiteness and suggest the Lakers were turning the clock back to the days of George Mikan. What I did not expect is that someone would go on a national platform and suggest that the Lakers made a mistake spending all that money on Dončić, Reeves, and Kessler because their skin color prevents them from being successful in the NBA. Yet that's exactly what we heard. Now, I'm completely fine with the idea that the Lakers' core has some flaws and that they might not have spent their money wisely. But this idea that being white precludes a player or a team from being successful in the NBA is something out of a bad 80s movie. It's one thing to float a joke like that in private company or even play off the trope in a movie, like white men can't jump. But it's something else entirely to talk about it as if it's legitimate NBA analysis. First of all, the highest paid players on a team are not always the best players or considered the talent nucleus. Second, Reeves and Dončić were the Lakers' top 2 leading scorers and arguably their most impactful players last year. Was anybody suggesting that because they are both white, they had no chance of doing anything? If Quentin Grimes or Colin Sexton end up being more important than Kessler, are the Lakers then validated as having potential because a black player is part of the core? Luke Kennard was more effective for the Lakers than Gabe Vincent as a floor spacer last year. Was that extraordinary because he's white? Denny Avdia and Donovan Clingan were at the core of the Portland Trail Blazers turnaround last season. Was anybody dismissing the chance of that happening, of them making the playoffs because those two are white? What the hell are we doing? Why are we tolerating such Looney Tunes, dog whistling, race baiting, anything to be provocative nonsense? It's a joke. All right, before I go, I do want to touch on the LeBron James situation because I've been wondering how this was going to play out ever since the Lakers acquired Luka Dončić and it became clear that they were ready to move on without LeBron unless he was willing to swallow a huge slice of humble pie along with a massive pay cut to stay in a Lakers uniform. How does someone who has had the incredible career that LeBron has had make an exit that befits who he has been all these years? Graceful exits, after all, have not been his thing. I had to smile when it was reported that LeBron had informed the Lakers he didn't intend to play for them next year, as if the Lakers weren't already planning for that to be the case. But kudos to the Lakers for allowing LeBron to present it that way and preserve some dignity on the way out. The Rich Paul propaganda about contacting every team in the league to determine the interest in LeBron is just window dressing. If teams were interested, he wouldn't have to reach out to them. It's a sign that LeBron and Rich are struggling with the new reality, which is that LeBron simply isn't valued the way he once was. He does not have the leverage he once did, which is not an indictment. No one is going to invest in a player who is turning 42 years old next season and comes with all the outsized attention and servicing that LeBron does. The only place that makes any sense is for him to return to Cleveland, where it all began. I can see the Cavaliers entertaining that because A, they have a very good team, but LeBron's playmaking and experience could give them a boost. And B, there isn't a player or personality currently there that is bigger than him. If he goes to Golden State, he is joining Steph Curry's team. And while it wouldn't be exactly like Kevin Durant joining the Warriors because they are no longer a championship caliber team, it would have the same aroma. We can argue all day long about who the bigger star is. Not the better player, but the bigger star. But we can't argue about the hierarchy. In the Bay Area, Steph was always bigger than KD no matter what he did, and the same would be true with LeBron. I seriously doubt LeBron wants to live that reality. If he did, he would have been more amenable to staying in LA. I also have no doubt that Pat Riley would entertain bringing LeBron back if he thought it would give the Miami Heat a better chance of winning. But this isn't LeBron going to join Chris Bosh and one of his best friends, Dwayne Wade, at the height of his power. This is joining Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo, two relative strangers, two guys who don't feel any particular allegiance to LeBron, two guys who are the true core of what the Heat are trying to build. LeBron would be an add-on, a complementary piece. Giannis has even thrown some shade LeBron's way by saying he's never been interested in joining a super team, that doing so is the easy way to chase a title. All of which is why going back to Cleveland makes the most sense, to find some semblance of a swan song that is worthy of LeBron's career.
LeBron James has faced everything: championship pressure, betrayal, criticism, the impossible expectations placed on the shoulders of one of the greatest athletes in history. But now, one accusation has reopened a battle that has followed him for years. Boston, a city where LeBron says he experienced some of the most personal attacks of his entire career. In a shocking statement, LeBron didn't hold back. When asked why he disliked playing in Boston, his response was explosive. Because they're racist as fuck. Those were not the words of a young player looking for attention. Those were the words of a four-time NBA champion who says he has spent his entire life dealing with this kind of treatment. LeBron explained that Boston fans would say anything, throw anything, and cross lines that most arenas never cross. He recalled incidents where objects were thrown at him leaving games. He remembered entire sections of fans wearing shirts targeting him personally. Not just criticizing him, not just booing him, but creating an environment that LeBron believes became something much deeper. And for a player who has battled Boston for nearly 2 decades, those memories never disappeared. But now, the timing of this controversy creates an even bigger question. Because while LeBron is fighting an old battle with Boston, his own future in Los Angeles is becoming uncertain. And the possibility of the final chapter of his career taking a shocking turn is becoming impossible to ignore. Because behind LeBron's explosive words about Boston is a much bigger story. A superstar entering the final stage of his career, searching for control over how his legacy ends. And that brings us directly to the Lakers crisis. For years, LeBron James controlled the direction of every franchise he touched. Teams adjusted around him. Front offices listened. Every decision started with one question. Every pitch, one question. What does LeBron want? But the NBA has changed. And now, for the first time in years, LeBron may no longer have that power. The Lakers' future is clearly being built around Luka Dončić. And with major financial commitments already forming, the organization appears ready to move into a new era. The Lakers committed massive resources toward a new core featuring Luka Dončić, Austin Reeves, and Walker Kessler. The total financial commitment is approaching $450 million. That decision immediately created debate across the basketball world. Some analysts questioned whether Los Angeles invested wisely. Others argued the criticism went beyond basketball and entered dangerous territory. Because after the Lakers built a core featuring 3 highly paid white players, some voices online began making arguments focused on race rather than performance. And that created another controversy. The real basketball question should be simple. Can this roster win? Can Luka stay healthy? Can Austin Reeves perform against elite playoff defenses? Can Walker Kessler become the defensive anchor the Lakers desperately need? Those are legitimate questions. But reducing NBA success to skin color is not analysis. It ignores reality. Because last season, Luka Dončić and Austin Reeves were among the Lakers' most important offensive players. Their impact came from skill, not identity. And this debate reveals something important. The Lakers are no longer building around LeBron James. They are building around the future. And that leaves the biggest question hanging. Where does the greatest player of this generation go when the team that once belonged to him has moved forward? And that question leads to the most uncomfortable reality of all. LeBron James may finally be facing a situation where the NBA is no longer chasing him. LeBron James is entering a territory few superstars ever experience. A player who has dominated basketball for over 2 decades is now approaching his 42nd birthday season. And the uncomfortable truth is this. The league still respects LeBron, but teams may no longer value him the same way they once did. Not because he cannot play, not because his greatness disappeared, but because age changes everything. Teams are no longer building entire futures around a superstar at this stage of his career. And that reality creates a difficult decision. Does LeBron chase one more championship? Or does he chase the perfect ending? One possibility is a return home. Cleveland Cavaliers. The place where everything started. Cleveland makes sense because they already have a talented roster, and LeBron's leadership, passing, and playoff experience could immediately change their ceiling. Most importantly, he would not be entering someone else's shadow. The franchise would still belong to him. Another possibility is Golden State Warriors. A partnership with Stephen Curry would create one of the biggest star combinations basketball has ever seen. But there is a problem. Golden State is Steph Curry's kingdom. LeBron would not be the unquestioned center of attention. And for a player who has controlled his own story for 20 years, that matters. Then there is Miami, the franchise where LeBron created one of the greatest chapters of his career. But this would be a completely different situation. He would not be joining Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh during his prime. He would be joining a team built around players like Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo. LeBron would be a powerful addition, but he would no longer be the foundation. And that may be the hardest reality for a player who has always been the foundation. Which brings us to the final question. If LeBron wants a true Hollywood ending, there may only be one place where the story feels complete. Every legend eventually reaches the same moment. The moment where greatness meets reality. For LeBron James, this moment is here. The debate is no longer whether he is one of the greatest players ever. That argument is finished. 4 championships, 4 MVP awards, over 20 seasons of dominance. A career that changed the NBA forever. The question now is different. How does LeBron James leave the game? Because the ending matters. Returning to Cleveland may provide something no other destination can offer. Not just another contract. Not just another championship chase. But closure. The hometown hero returning one final time. The superstar finishing the story where it began. Because maybe the biggest victory left for LeBron is not proving he can still dominate. Maybe it is proving he can control the final page of his own story. After years of criticism, pressure, and impossible expectations, LeBron James now faces the ultimate challenge. Not defeating Boston. Not defeating another superstar. But deciding how a legend says goodbye. And the entire NBA is watching.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.